Hey everybody, it's Josh here. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to customize your Divi gallery like a boss. And by like a boss, I mean a talented Divi web designer. Now, there's several ways you can customize your gallery, but I'm going to show you how to come up with this look to where when you scroll over the images, it gives you a kind of a zoom effect. You can see that the typical Divi gallery settings aren't in there, and it also has 5 columns as opposed to 4, which is standard with a Divi gallery. So I'm going to show you how we create all of this and more in this tutorial. So let's go ahead and dive right in. First thing that we're going to do is go ahead and create a new page. Let's call this page gallery. We're going to use the Divi builder, and let's go ahead and jump into the visual builder. All right, and first thing I want to do is go into the row setting here, and I want to add just a 1 column layout. And of course, we want to add the gallery. Okay, so now that that's ready, we want to go ahead and input some gallery images. So first thing we want to do, let's see what's already in the gallery. Okay, so we want to add some gallery images. Now I've already got some uploaded in here. I'm going to take 15 images, and if you're curious how I just did that, if you click the first image and then hold shift and click to the last one, you can select multiple images. You're going to add to the gallery. Okay, now we're going to update the gallery. Let's see what we got here. Oh, and then we need to adjust the image's number. See, I put 15, so we're going to go ahead and do 15. And there we go. So this is what the Divi gallery looks like out of the box. You can see that there's some spacing between each image. There's 4 columns, and every time you scroll over an image, it's going to hover over this kind of transparent white, and you're going to have an icon in there. But again, we want to really customize this and separate this design from other Divi menus and come up with this to where there's no icon, there's no overlay, there's just a nice zooming effect on the images. And again, I'm going to show you how to adjust the number of columns here. So you could have 5 wide, you could have 6 wide. I'll even show you how to do as low as 2 wide. So it's going to be pretty cool. So this is a good start, but what we want to do is we want to go back into the gallery settings. And the first things I want to do, we go to the elements. I want to take the title and caption off, and I want to remove the pagination as well. Now, there's one other thing here that we're going to start with, and that is to remove all of the spacing in between these images. The way you can do that is to go not into the actual module, but into the row. And we're going to click into the settings. We're going to go to design and spacing. Nope, sizing, I had it right the first time. We're gonna go into sizing, and we're gonna minimize the gutter width. The gutter width is what's in between each one of these images. So we're gonna go ahead and click this, and we wanna do a custom gutter width, and we're gonna drag this in, and you can see right there, it automatically drags those images into each other. So we're gonna take that all the way down to 1. Go ahead and save. Okay, now let's save. Let's go ahead and exit the visual builder. So you can see by just taking the gutter width in, it already gives this a whole new look, which is pretty cool. But again, the first thing we want to do is we want to take care of this zoom icon and the overlay. And there's a couple other settings as well that I'll show you here. So let's go ahead and dive in first. We want to take care of that overlay. So I've got some code saved. I'm going to bounce over to my style sheet. Okay, now that I'm in my style sheet, I'm going to go ahead and paste, and I'm going to give you all this code, but I'm going to paste this first little snippet. This is the overlay which shows up in white here. We're going to do a display none, which is going to turn that off. And that should not only take care of the white overlay, but it should take care of this little zoom icon as well. So once that's saved, let's go ahead and purge the cache and check this out. And there we go. You can see by just adding that little overlay display none, that's going to take the overlay completely off. Now, another thing I want to do here before we go any further is you'll notice when you click on an image, when you scroll through in the image gallery, there's a little tag on the left here that displays the file name. Generally, I take these off because my clients will often send me images that have really terrible file names, or I'd have to rename them all. So what I do is using inspect element, which if you've seen any of my previous tutorials, you know I use inspect element for pretty much everything I do. It's the same process for all my custom changes. This has a class of MFP title. So all we have to do is give this a display of none, and that'll take that right out. So let's bounce over to the style sheet, and I'm going to paste that in there. I'm just going to give the title and then just display none on that, and that will take care of that for us. Now, the next step we want to take is to add the transition, which is what gives the this zoom effect here. So it's a CSS transition. Don't worry, it sounds scary, but it's super easy. I've got some code saved, so I'm going to go ahead and bounce this right into the style sheet. Okay, so I'm going to paste in 2 snippets of code that you're going to have, and I'm going to walk you through how this works. Each one of these, you can see that the gallery grid, which this is a grid style gallery, this has an item image attached to it. And this image itself, you can see this tag right here, is where we're going to adjust this. So what's cool about this is with CSS, you can add a transform and you can basically give it this scale. So essentially I just take this and I just adjust the scale. So let's go ahead and save this and let's go back to our site here. Once that style sheet is saved, let's go ahead and refresh. And now when we scroll over the images, we should see this nice cool zoom effect. And there we go. So it's that easy, guys. All you have to do is just add this little snippet of code here and it will scale those completely. Now I could adjust this even further. Let's right click and go into inspect element again and look even further. You can see right here, it's got this image, the coding I just put in there, but let's go into hover. Now we're going to the hover state and you can see it shows me how far that's going to scale. Now I could adjust this even further. I could go maybe 1.25 or 1.5. I could adjust this to 3. Oh, that scales a lot. So you can see if I put it into 3, it really jumps it in there. So again, I've got this code saved for you because I think this is a nice scale here. It doesn't scale too much, but it doesn't scale too little. And it just comes off with this nice little approach here. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and keep that in there. And we're going to save. Now, the other thing I want to do here is I want to add some padding in between these images. Let's go ahead and refresh there because I've got that code we just worked with. Okay, so there we go. It just has a minor scale, which is a really cool effect. Now, again, I want to add some padding in between these images so it comes off across with this look here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and again, right click and inspect element. And I'm going to look and I'm going to see that each one of these has right here. Let's go and look in the code. Let's make that. There we go, right here. Each image has this little class that says gallery grid and then a gallery item. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around. I'm just going to add some padding here and see what this looks like. So there we go. I just added 2 pixels of padding to each one of those, this gallery grid, the actual item itself, and that actually looks perfect. I think that's exactly how I have it set up here. But if you wanted just a little more thickness in there, you could add these. Again, you could go into your gutter width and tweak those even further, but I tend to like just a little bit of padding in there. So let me go ahead and go back into my style sheet, and let's go ahead and paste that snippet of code in. Okay, so I've just pasted the gallery item. Now you can use this gallery grid tag, but you don't even need that if all of your galleries are grids. You have an option with Divi. You can do a full width gallery or a grid gallery. So I guess we'll just put it in there just in case, but you don't really need that. You can usually just use this tag right here. That would include these as well. We don't need the grid gallery if we're just using one gallery. So let's go ahead and refresh. And now we have that nice padding. We scroll over and it's got that nice zooming effect. So that's how easy this is, guys. Just these few lines of code. There's 5 lines of CSS here. You can see this overlay takes off the overlay. This takes off the title when you open the image. This is giving the transform for the understate and the overstate. And then this is the padding here. Now, the final thing I want to show you guys is how to add different columns. So again, Divi automatically has 4 columns in all of your galleries, but what we want to do is we want to have some fun and we want to tweak this. So for example, this gallery has 15 images. It doesn't look too bad, but there's this one space right here where it would be nice to have this in rows of 5. That way it looks cleaner and there's no open spaces there. So we're going to go ahead and go in here and do a little inspect element. And again, we're going to find where I had that code there with the padding. Here we go. So there's the grid gallery, the gallery item with 2 pixels of padding. So all we have to do is adjust the width here. And the way you'll do this is we're going to do width. Let's say I want 5 columns wide. It's going to be done by percentage. So automatically it's 100%. So let's try 20%. And let's go ahead and give this an important tag just to make sure it knows. And boom, there we go. Now, it kind of worked, but you're seeing this space on the end here. What we need to do is to add a clear function. So basically what this is saying is we want to clear the space to the right to make sure that it makes room for those other images. So we're going to go important, and I put this T in there. This should work. Boom, there we go. So all we had to do was add the width of 20%. And we had to clear the right, which makes sure it knew that the gallery is going to accept this final row of columns here. And that's all you need to do. So let's go ahead and paste this into our style sheet. There we go. And let's go ahead and go back out and refresh. And now we should have a nice, beautiful gallery with the zoom effect and with 5 columns. So it's that easy, guys. And I'm gonna make sure you have this in the notes as well. But what you could do is, let's say you don't want to have 5. Let's say you wanna have maybe a, maybe you want to do 6 wide. Well, all you have to do is figure out what 100 divided by 6 is. Generally, in that case, I use 16.66, which will get us about as close as you can go there. You'll notice if you go to 6.7, right there, it just bumped it off. So 16.6 is usually a good sign or a good size for 6. If you wanted to do 3, all you'd have to do is 33%. And you can even add that extra 33, which will give it, that'll make it just about perfect. So that's how you would do 3. Let's say you just wanted to have 2 rows. You could do, yep, you guessed it, 50%. And it's gonna make 2 rows. So we'll go ahead and back that down to 20. But again, that's a very easy way to adjust that. And all you have to do, guys, is go in here and in the gallery item itself, just put a width that you want, and then you can just try it out and just make sure it has this clear right, and you're good to go. Now there's one final thing I want to look at, and that is, yep, you guessed it, the mobile version. So let's go ahead and dive into our mobile settings. So this is what it's going to look like in mobile. It didn't retain that 20%. There's a snippet of code that I'm going to give to you, and this is the way this works. Is let's go ahead and inspect element. You'll notice that each one of these has, well, there's quite a few different things we can work with here, but right here, you can see at a max width of 479, which is your mobile view, this column and the grid item is going to have a width of 100% automatically. So what we have to do is actually just adjust this. So if I go to 50%, boom, there we go. It does it into 2 columns. Let's say on mobile, I wanted these into 3 columns. I'm gonna go ahead and just put 33% in there, and then boom, there we go. It's that easy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take right here from the column over to this little grid item child number here. We're gonna paste this in, and we're gonna go ahead and drop our width of 33%. Let me go ahead and copy that a little cleaner. 33%. Right there. And the last thing we need to do is we need to add a media query. So I've got a little snippet of code saved. So we're going to put the media query here and make sure it has the brackets. We're just going to go ahead and take this whole section here, paste it in there. Oh, we need to make sure that we do have a dot right here to make sure it knows it's pulling that class. Let's go ahead and save that. And now when we go back out to our site, let me go ahead and refresh. All right, and now when we look at mobile, it should have 3 columns in the gallery. Let's go ahead and check this out, and boom, there we go. So it's that easy, guys. I hope you can see now that with just a few lines of code, hopefully this is explained clearly enough for you to where all you have to do is just really, you can take this code and you can adjust the width accordingly, and I'll have the corresponding widths down in the show notes for you so you can make 2 columns, 3 columns, 5 columns, 6 columns, and you'll be good to go. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, enjoy making your Divi galleries awesome and custom. Thanks, guys.